Brothers and sisters, the power of words is extraordinary, especially the words you speak to yourself every day. What you say inside your mind, your self-talk, has the ability to shape your emotions, influence your decisions, and ultimately determine the direction of your life. It's important to understand that words are not just sounds or symbols. They carry energy, intention, and consequences. The way you talk to yourself can either build you up or tear you down. Science supports this truth through the study of neuroplasticity, which reveals that our brains can rewire and change based on our thoughts and language. When you consistently tell yourself positive things, you actually begin to create new neural pathways that encourage confidence, resilience, and hope. Conversely, negative self-talk reinforces fear, doubt, and stress, which can lead to a downward spiral emotionally and mentally. Imagine your mind as a garden. Every word you speak to yourself is like a seed planted in that garden. If you plant seeds of encouragement, hope, and truth, the garden will flourish with beautiful flowers of confidence, peace, and joy. But if you plant seeds of criticism, defeat, and negativity, the garden will be overrun with weeds of insecurity, anxiety, and self-doubt. The condition of your internal garden largely depends on the words you choose to speak over yourself. Many people underestimate the importance of this inner dialogue. They may be quick to speak encouraging words to others but fail to offer themselves the same kindness and support. However, the quality of your self-talk sets the foundation for your entire mindset. It influences how you perceive challenges, how you respond to failures, and how you pursue your goals. For example, consider the difference between saying, "I can't do this," versus "I am capable of figuring this out." The first statement creates a barrier and invites defeat before the challenge even begins. The second statement opens the door for problem solving and growth. By consciously choosing to speak positively and with faith, you can shift your entire outlook and empower yourself to take meaningful action. Your words also affect your emotional state. Negative self-talk can trigger stress responses in your body, increasing cortisol levels and creating tension, anxiety, and even physical symptoms like headaches or fatigue. Positive self-talk, on the other hand, can reduce stress and improve your mood by releasing endorphins and dopamine, natural chemicals that make you feel good and motivated. In addition to your mental and emotional well-being, your words have a profound impact on your relationships and external circumstances. When you speak life and hope over yourself, it changes how you interact with others. Confidence and positivity are contagious. People naturally gravitate toward those who uplift themselves and others. Furthermore, a positive internal dialogue can increase your perseverance and creativity, leading to better opportunities and solutions in your personal and professional life. It's important to note that changing your self-talk is not about ignoring reality or pretending everything is perfect. It's about choosing to focus on truth, possibility, and strength instead of dwelling on fears and limitations. It's a deliberate decision to take control over your mental environment and refuse to be controlled by negative patterns. One practical way to begin this transformation is by becoming aware of the words you habitually say to yourself. Start paying attention to your internal conversations, especially during moments of stress, failure, or doubt. When you catch yourself slipping into negative language, pause and reframe your thoughts. Replace "I can't" with "I will try," "I'm not good enough" with "I am learning and growing," or "this is too hard" with "I can overcome challenges step by step." Try this practice for just a few days and observe how it affects your mood and mindset. Over time, positive self-talk can become second nature, transforming not only your thoughts but your entire life experience. Remember, your words have power, Speak life to yourself daily and watch how your world begins to change. One of the biggest obstacles to living a confident and victorious life is the habit of repeating negative and limiting beliefs that don't align with truth. Many people unknowingly carry around a script filled with lies, insecurities, and fears, messages that were never intended to define them. These messages can come from past experiences, critical voices in childhood, or even the world's negative influences, but it's crucial to recognize that just because something is being repeated in your mind or out loud doesn't mean it's true or meant to shape your identity. The problem is that these false beliefs often sound familiar and convincing. They can masquerade as facts or warnings, convincing you that you're not enough, that you're unworthy of love or success, or that your past failures define your future. This internal dialogue can be so powerful that it creates barriers where none should exist. When you repeat these false statements, you start to believe them and they become your reality. To stop this destructive cycle, the first step is awareness. Begin by listening carefully to what you say to yourself, especially in moments of struggle or self-doubt. What are the recurring themes? Are you telling yourself you're a failure, that you'll never change, that you're too broken or too weak? These statements are not truths. They are echoes of fear and misunderstanding. They don't come from a place of love or empowerment. Once you identify these harmful messages, it's time to challenge them. Ask yourself, is this really true? Does this reflect who I am at my core? The answers will often reveal a disconnect between the harsh words and the reality of your identity and potential. This process of questioning is crucial because it creates space for new, healthier beliefs to take root. Replace the negative script with truth, truth that aligns with your deeper identity and purpose. For many, this truth is rooted in spiritual belief, the idea that you are loved, chosen, and valued beyond measure. But even outside of spiritual frameworks, it's about recognizing your inherent worth as a human being and the power you have to grow and change. Instead of saying, I'm not good enough, say, I am learning and growing every day. Instead of, I always fail, say, I am capable of overcoming challenges. These new declarations are like planting seeds of hope and strength that will grow with practice. It's also important to realize that your past mistakes or hurts do not have to define your present or future. Many people carry the weight of regret and shame that colors their self-perception. But your story is not over, and you have the power to write new chapters. Speak words of forgiveness toward yourself and declare freedom from the chains of past failures. Affirm that you are not limited by what once happened, but empowered by what you choose to become. Another practical step is to surround yourself with reminders of truth. This could be through reading affirming texts, listening to uplifting messages, or spending time with people who see the best in you and encourage your growth. When your environment reflects positivity, it becomes easier to reject the lies that try to creep in. This process takes time and intentionality. It won't happen overnight, and there will be moments when the old negative script tries to resurface. When that happens, gently but firmly redirect your thoughts back to the truth. Remember, transformation is a journey, not a one-time event. Repetition of positive self-talk is a powerful tool. Just as you have repeated the negative beliefs for years, you can retrain your mind by repeatedly affirming what is true. In the end, the goal is to stop repeating what was never meant to define you and start speaking the truth that sets you free. Your words have incredible power to shape your reality, so choose carefully what you say to yourself. When you align yourself, talk with truth and hope, you create a foundation for confidence, peace, and success. your inner dialogue becomes a source of strength instead of a barrier. Begin today by identifying any negative beliefs you've been holding onto, challenge their validity, and replace them with affirming truths. Over time, this shift will transform how you see yourself and how you navigate life's challenges. Within each of us lives an inner voice that speaks to us constantly. This voice can take many forms. It might be encouraging, neutral, or harshly critical. Most people are familiar with the inner critic, that relentless commentator who points out flaws, magnifies mistakes, and focuses on limitations. This critical voice can be incredibly loud and convincing, often leading to self-doubt, anxiety, and even paralysis. But what many don't realize is that this critic doesn't have to be the only voice in their minds. Instead, we can learn to catch the critic early and consciously cultivate a more constructive, encouraging inner coach. The inner critic often develops over time through external messages absorbed during childhood, past failures, or negative experiences. It functions as a protective mechanism, trying to keep you safe from risk or rejection by highlighting what might go wrong. While its intention may be protective, its effect is usually damaging. It erodes self-esteem and can keep you stuck in patterns of fear and avoidance. The first step in transforming this dynamic is to become aware of when the critic is speaking. This requires mindfulness, paying attention to your thoughts without judgment. Notice the tone, content, and frequency of your self-talk. Is it harsh, unforgiving, or overly negative? Does it focus on what you didn't do right instead of what you did well? By catching these moments, you interrupt the automatic habit of believing and reacting to the critic's voice. Once you have identified the critic's patterns, you can begin to challenge its messages. Ask yourself, is this thought true? Is it helpful? Would I say this to a friend? Often, the critic's statements are exaggerated or unkind, and questioning them weakens their power. This critical voice is just one perspective, not an absolute truth. At this point, it's time to cultivate the coach, the inner voice that encourages, supports, and guides you. Unlike the critic, the coach speaks from a place of compassion and belief in your potential. The coach acknowledges mistakes, but uses them as learning opportunities rather than reasons for shame. It celebrates progress, however small, and encourages you to keep moving forward. Developing your inner coach requires practice. Start by intentionally speaking to yourself as you would to someone you care about deeply. When you make a mistake, instead of harsh self-judgment, try saying, "It's okay. I'm learning. I will do better next time." When you feel discouraged, remind yourself, "I have the strength to keep going. I've overcome challenges before, and I can do it again." Another effective technique is to write down encouraging affirmations or reminders and place them where you can see them daily. These affirmations reinforce the coach's voice and help retrain your mind to focus on positive and empowering thoughts. For example, "I am capable," "I am worthy of love and respect," or "I grow stronger every day." Over time, this consistent practice shifts the balance from critic to coach. The critical voice doesn't disappear completely. It may always be present, but its influence diminishes, and you gain greater control over your internal dialogue. Instead of being overwhelmed by negativity, you learn to respond with kindness and motivation. It's also helpful to remember that cultivating the coach is not about unrealistic positivity or ignoring genuine problems. It's about responding with honesty and grace. The coach acknowledges difficulties but refuses to let them define your worth or potential. This balanced perspective fosters resilience and self-compassion. Furthermore, Cultivating the coach can improve your external relationships as well. When you are kind and encouraging to yourself, you are more likely to extend that same kindness and patience to others. You become a source of encouragement and inspiration, creating a more positive environment around you. In conclusion, the voice inside your head can either trap you or set you free. By catching the critic early and intentionally cultivating the coach, you empower yourself to move forward with confidence and hope. This shift doesn't happen overnight, but with persistence, your inner dialogue becomes a powerful tool for growth, healing, and success. Begin today by tuning in to your self-talk, challenging the harsh critic, and choosing to speak as your own greatest supporter. The way we approach challenges and setbacks greatly influences the outcome. Often, people find themselves speaking words of desperation, pleading for success or relief as if they don't already possess what they need. This kind of language comes from a place of lacking or uncertainty, which can reinforce feelings of anxiety and doubt. But there is a different, more powerful approach. Speak from victory rather than for victory. Speaking for victory is like asking or begging for something you don't yet have. It's filled with uncertainty, fear, and sometimes even desperation. For example, saying, "I hope I get through this," or "please help me to be strong," implies that victory or strength is something distant or uncertain. While it's natural to desire positive outcomes, focusing on the hope of victory can sometimes leave you feeling powerless or vulnerable. In contrast, speaking from victory means you declare and embody the truth that you are already victorious. It is a mindset rooted in confidence and faith, believing that the battle has already been won, even if the evidence doesn't immediately show it. This approach changes your internal dialogue from one of uncertainty to one of certainty, which in turn transforms how you act and react. When you speak from victory, your words carry authority and power. You affirm what is true rather than what you wish to be true. For instance, instead of saying, "I hope I find peace," you say, "I have peace within me." Instead of, "I want to overcome this struggle," you declare, "I am overcoming this struggle." This shift in language sends a powerful message to your subconscious mind, reinforcing your inner strength and resilience. This principle applies not only to external circumstances, but also to your emotional and spiritual life. Often, people wait to feel strong or at peace before they speak positively about themselves. But feelings are fleeting and can be deceptive. True strength comes from choosing to speak life and victory, even when emotions say otherwise. This is the essence of faith, choosing to believe and declare the truth beyond what you see or feel. Speaking from victory also affects your actions. When you believe you already have what you need, you begin to act in ways that align with that belief. You take steps forward with courage, make decisions from a place of confidence, and persist through challenges. Your language sets the foundation for your behavior, and your behavior reinforces your words, creating a positive feedback loop. Moreover, speaking from victory inspires others around you. Confidence is contagious, and when you express certainty and hope, you encourage those who may be struggling alongside you. Your words become a source of strength not only for yourself, but also for your community. It's important to clarify that speaking from victory doesn't mean ignoring reality or pretending difficulties don't exist. Rather, it means acknowledging challenges while refusing to let them define you or your future. It's a declaration that no matter the present circumstances, victory is your identity and destiny. A practical way to practice this is to start your day by speaking affirmations that declare your victory. You might say, "I am equipped to handle whatever comes my way," peace fills my heart, or I walk in strength and purpose. Repeat these declarations consistently to build a mindset grounded in victory. When obstacles arise, remind yourself that the victory is not dependent on external validation or circumstances. It is rooted in your identity and the inner resources you possess. By consistently choosing to speak from victory, you build resilience and empower yourself to navigate life's ups and downs with grace. In conclusion, the language you use matters deeply. Speaking for victory keeps you in a place of uncertainty, waiting for something to happen. Speaking from victory places you in the position of already having what you need to succeed and thrive. This shift in mindset transforms not only your inner world, but also your external reality. Begin today by choosing words that affirm your victory and watch how your confidence, peace, and effectiveness grow. Life is full of emotional highs and lows. At times, feelings can be so intense that they seem to dictate reality. When fear, anxiety, sadness, or doubt flood your mind, it's easy to believe that these emotions are the absolute truth. However, feelings are not always reliable guides. They are powerful signals, but they can be misleading or influenced by temporary circumstances. That's why it's essential to learn to prioritize a higher truth, what is often referred to as the voice of God or ultimate truth, over your fluctuating emotions. Feelings are real and valid, but they are not facts. For instance, you might feel overwhelmed, unworthy, or hopeless, but these feelings do not necessarily reflect your true identity or your situation's reality. Emotions often respond to external stimuli or past wounds and can distort your perception. If you base your self-talk only on how you feel, you risk living in a constant state of confusion and instability, always reacting to shifting moods rather than steady truth. In contrast, the voice of God represents an unchanging source of truth, love, and purpose. This voice calls you to see beyond your immediate feelings and circumstances, and to anchor your identity and decisions in something steadfast. It reminds you of your worth, your strength, and your calling, even when your feelings suggest otherwise. Learning to listen to this voice takes practice and intentionality. It often requires slowing down, quieting the noise of anxious thoughts, and turning to sources of spiritual guidance, such as scripture, prayer, meditation, or reflection, that reinforce your true identity and purpose. These moments of connection provide clarity and peace, helping you differentiate between fleeting feelings and lasting truth. One key reason to prioritize this higher voice over feelings is that faith often calls for action despite emotional uncertainty. Many significant growth moments in life happen not because you feel ready or strong, but because you choose to trust in what you know to be true. This might mean stepping forward in courage when fear is present, forgiving when anger or hurt is strong, or persevering when discouragement looms. For example, you may feel discouraged by repeated setbacks or failures, and your emotions might tell you to give up. Yet, the voice of God reminds you that failure is not final and that you have been equipped with resilience and purpose. By holding on to this truth, you can overcome the temptation to surrender to negative feelings and continue moving forward with hope. Another aspect of this principle is recognizing that feelings can change quickly, but the truth of who you are and what you are called to do remains constant. Feelings can ebb and flow like waves, but the voice of God is like a rock, steady and unmovable. Anchoring yourself in this voice provides a solid foundation that keeps you grounded amid life's storms. It is also helpful to develop a habit of checking your feelings against truth regularly. When you notice a strong emotional reaction, pause and ask yourself, is this feeling consistent with what I know to be true about myself? Does it align with the promises and purpose I believe in? This process helps you discern whether your emotions are guiding you toward growth or leading you astray. Furthermore, this principle encourages compassion toward yourself. When your feelings are painful or difficult, don't judge yourself for having them. Acknowledge their presence, but don't let them dictate your identity or decisions. Instead, allow the voice of God through truth, love, and hope to reassure and guide you. In practice, this means starting your day with declarations that align with truth, not feelings. For example, instead of saying, "I feel weak," say, "I am strong because I am supported and equipped." Instead of "I feel alone," say, "I am never alone. I am deeply loved and connected." These declarations help train your mind to rely more on truth and less on transient feelings. In summary, feelings matter, but they do not have the final say in your life. By choosing to listen to a higher voice, one that speaks truth, love, and purpose, you create a stable foundation for your identity and decisions. This shift allows you to navigate life with greater peace, confidence, and resilience, even when emotions try to pull you off course. Prioritize truth over feelings, and you will discover a deeper, more consistent source of strength within yourself. The way you speak to yourself matters deeply. Many people are their own harshest critics, often speaking with a tone and language that they would never use towards someone they care about. Yet, the relationship you have with yourself is the most enduring and influential relationship in your life. Learning to speak to yourself as if you were speaking to someone you deeply love and cherish can transform your mindset, emotional health, and overall well-being. When you speak kindly and gently to someone you love, your words are filled with encouragement, patience, and compassion. You don't rush to judgment or focus solely on faults. Instead, you recognize their efforts, celebrate their victories, and support them through struggles. Applying this same attitude to your internal dialogue can soften the harshness that often dominates your thoughts and create a nurturing inner environment where growth and healing are possible. Self-love through positive self-talk is not about ignoring mistakes or flaws. It's about acknowledging your humanity with kindness. Everyone makes mistakes, faces setbacks, or struggles with insecurities. The difference lies in how you respond to yourself during these moments. Imagine if, when you fail or stumble, you spoke words of understanding rather than condemnation, saying things like "it's okay to make mistakes," "I'm learning," or "I'm proud of myself for trying." Fosters resilience and reduces feelings of shame or discouragement. This approach to self-talk also strengthens your emotional resilience. When you treat yourself with love, you build a foundation of self-worth that is less vulnerable to external criticism or failures. You develop an inner strength that helps you bounce back from difficulties more quickly because your internal voice is your ally, not your enemy. Another powerful effect of speaking to yourself like someone you love is the improvement of your mental health. Harsh self-criticism is linked to increased anxiety, depression, and stress. By contrast, compassionate self-talk promotes feelings of safety and acceptance. It can reduce the intensity of negative emotions and create space for calm and clarity. This shift supports better decision-making and overall life satisfaction. Practicing this kind of self-talk requires intention and awareness. It often means catching yourself when negative or critical thoughts arise and consciously choosing to reframe them in a loving way. For example, if you think "I'm not good enough," pause and ask, "Would I say this to a loved one?" Then replace it with, "I am worthy and enough just as I am." This simple shift in language rewires your brain to focus on love rather than judgment. Writing letters to yourself or journaling can be a helpful tool for cultivating this practice. Write as if you were writing to a dear friend, offering encouragement, forgiveness, and hope. Reading these letters back can reinforce positive messages and deepen your sense of self-compassion. It's also helpful to develop rituals that remind you of your worth and value. This might include daily affirmations spoken out loud, moments of gratitude for your unique qualities, or even visual reminders like notes or pictures that inspire self-love. Over time, these habits build a stronger, more loving relationship with yourself. Remember, speaking to yourself like someone you love doesn't mean avoiding responsibility or refusing to grow. Instead, it means holding yourself accountable with kindness and patience. It's about recognizing that growth happens best in an environment of support and encouragement rather than fear and harshness. This kind of inner dialogue changes how you face challenges. When your inner voice is loving, you're more likely to take healthy risks, try new things, and be gentle with yourself when things don't go perfectly. It encourages a mindset of growth and curiosity rather than fear and avoidance. In conclusion, your self-talk shapes your self-perception and your experience of life. By choosing to speak to yourself like someone you love, you create a foundation of kindness, encouragement, and strength. This inner nurturing fosters resilience, peace, and confidence, allowing you to thrive in all areas of life. Begin today by listening to the words you say to yourself and asking if they reflect the love and care you would offer to someone you deeply cherish. If not, gently guide yourself toward a more loving and supportive voice.